Hey everyone, welcome to the Wealth Seed. This is episode 43. I am Lexi Johnson. I am an international speaker. I am a financial coach and strategist. And this is the Wealth Seed, like I said, episode 43. And today we are talking about living off your ROI. And I've done a podcast on this prior, but I wanted to have a deeper conversation today about it. But before we get into our topic at hand, of course, we have our crazy money story. So we're going to get into that. And then after we go through our main topic, we'll talk about what's coming up, right? In my world. So anyway, let's get into our crazy money story. All right, this crazy money story, because we're talking about ROI and passive income and things like that, I wanted to find one that was kind of along those lines and also, weird way to make money, right? So this one is about e-farming. This one is about e-farming. So listen, if you're watching live or you're watching the replay, let me know who you are, where you're watching from, and let me know, what do you think e-farming is? Maybe some of you that are listening have heard about it before. Maybe many of you have not. I just want to know, what do you think? You hear e-farming, what do you think? Okay, put it in the comments. Let me know. I remember when I first heard the term e-farming. Yeah, I thought that this had something to do with actual farming, right? Like farming of fruits and veggies or farming of animals or farming. I thought it had something to do with farming. I'm like, okay, how are you going to e-farm? And so then I got to thinking, well, maybe, everybody will own a little piece of a farm or something like that, which I'm sure that exists somewhere. But that's what I was thinking, right? And then when I learned about what this was actually talking about, an article that I read in, it had nothing to do with farming in the traditional sense that we are accustomed to talking about, right? So, in fact, e-farming is what you do is you have a list of people. Okay, so that's the farming. You go out and you gather a list of people, right? And you have them put on your, they give you their emails. You have them put on your email list. And what they do, or simply what it is you keep them informed about products or services that they are interested in. Okay, so you might pick a particular topic or a particular niche of a product, and you have a list that is built around that, right? People who want to receive information about products related or services related to that topic or related to that niche, right? And because they want to receive that information, guess what happens? They start to buy, right? They buy. So there's a gentleman who is really well known for this. What his name is Igor. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I don't want to butcher it, but so I'm going to spell it. It's Kheifets. Okay. So he has gotten really, really, really great at this. You can, look him up by his name on social media, but this is how he lives his life. He pays for his life by e-farming, right? So he calls it a list building lifestyle. And again, he says that, it's all about creating a sustainable online business that generates passive income. And this is able to do it. So maybe some of you out there, this may pique your interest and maybe you want to learn more about how to do it. He says that it was a really great game changer for him, that he was able to fire his boss and that he was able to start making. He fired his boss when he was able to start making, well, I don't know, it wasn't very clear, but he says he started out, he was making $100 a day. That was just the beginning, right? And then he got to a place that where he was making $1,000 a day, right? So like anything else, you're going to have to put some work into it in the beginning. This is not anything overnight. You got to learn the process. You got to, all of that. But when it clicks, right? You use the list, okay, that you've curated, that you have farmed. That's where farming comes from. And E is email, of course. So e-farming. You use that list to promote the products or services that are related to the niche, and then you earn commissions. So you're promoting. It's like a little affiliate marketing too, right? Because you are promoting products and services that aren't yours. Okay. So imagine that you didn't have to create the product or the service, right? All you have to do is gather together a group of people who are interested in that product or service and want to receive information on products and services as it relates to that particular topic or that niche. That's it. You set up the system, right? Because you can automate this, and it's mostly hands off, right? And so now you can start earning. Okay, so he scaled from 100, to 300 to 500, then $1,000 per day. And that is serious money. How many of you out there can use $1,000 per day, right? So yeah, he was able to fire his boss. He travels now whenever he wants, right? Like he's got time freedom. He's got, because it's on automation, right? There's no products or services he's creating. There are other people doing that, right? So yeah. So I don't know if anybody out there might be interested in something like that. If you are, then you might want to look that guy up and get in contact with him and see, what it takes for him to teach you how to do that. Very, very interesting. Hello, 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 Bishop Alfred. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in all the way from Kenya. Shalom to you as well. All right, so let's get into our topic for today, which is living off of your ROI. I want to have a deeper conversation. Like I said, I've done a podcast on this before, but it was pretty, kind of surface. So I want to dig a little bit deeper today. And I want to let you all know that it's possible. How many of you know, actually, how many of you out there know that it is possible to live off of your ROI? Some of you might be asking, well, first of all, I don't have an answer to that, because what the heck is ROI? Okay, so we're going to talk about it, and you will see by the end of this conversation. Say conversation, but I can't hear y'all, but y'all can talk to me in the comments, okay? You will understand by the end of this conversation that it is possible, and there are a multiplicity of ways in which this can happen for you, okay? One of the things that wealthy people do, and we're talking about becoming wealthy, and by the way, people that I serve are entrepreneurs, mostly women entrepreneurs, right? Who want to master their money, and they want to create wealth. And they want to create that wealth because they want to not only to sustain them and their families, but they want to expand the kingdom of God. They want to either, create kingdom projects or fund kingdom projects that answer problems so that people can see the hand of God, right, through us. So being able to get to this place of living off of your ROI helps you to free up time so that you can do more of what you love to do for the kingdom, right? Okay, so first let's talk about what the heck is ROI. ROI stands for return on interest, okay? Return on interest. That's what it stands for, okay? And it is money that is earned on investments. Okay, so you cannot live off our ROI if you're not investing, period. Okay, so if you don't ever invest, you can't ever live off of ROI. Living off your ROI requires you to invest, because the money, the interest that is earned, is interest that is earned on investments, okay, that accrue. All right, so what are some important components to this? Well, whatever you invest in, what's important is understanding what the interest rate is. And last week, if you follow my social media posts, we talked about real rate of return. The real rate of return is your rate of return that takes into consideration taxes and inflation. So, for example, if they say we are returning 12%, is that 12% before taxes and inflation or after? Okay. After taxes and inflation, then it might be 8%. Okay. It might be 9%, right? And I'm just making some numbers up. Okay, guys. It's for educational purposes. All right. So your rate of return is important. Okay. How much money you put in, which is called your principal, that's important. Okay. And the compounding frequency is important. What is compounding frequency? That means how fast is your and how regularly is your money compounding? Is it daily? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it twice a year? Is it quarterly? Is it annually? How frequent is it compounding? All three of those components, your return, your investment principal, and the compounding frequency, are extremely important when we're talking about living off of your interest income. Okay. So this is not something that you can just hop out and do, or you could, right? But you would fail at it because you haven't really taken everything into consideration that you need to take into consideration. Okay. So, so we're going to talk a little bit about, how we do this, right? What it is, but that is ROI. Okay. That's ROI. Living off of interest like that, where you're paying your bills and all that through investment interest, is a dream for a lot of people. A lot of people are not quite exactly sure how to go about it, or don't even think that they have opportunities to do it. But the opportunities are everywhere, people. The opportunities are everywhere. Hey, Jesse, good to see you, Lady Jessica. Watching all the way from Kenya as well. Hey, Elaine, good to see you. Been some time. Good to see you. All right, so now let's talk about it. Let's go deeper, right? Because that's what that conversation is today. So we're going to talk about, like, how do you actually do this, and then we're going to talk about what it takes. It's all part of the how, I guess. It's all part of the how. All right, so we've already talked about, like, the basics of understanding interest income, what components are important to it. I want to talk about what are the pros and the cons of living off of your return on interest. Okay. So living off interest can provide a stable stream of income, right? Without touching the principal. Okay. So principal, meaning whatever it is, I put 100,000 in, and I'm not saying that's what you have to put in. It all depends, right? I put 100,000 in, it grows interest. I live off of that interest. I never withdraw the principal. I let that principal continue to work, right? Continue to work for me. And oftentimes when I'm working with my clients and we're talking about paying debt and all this kind of stuff, when they have the ability to, and they have a nice size of money relative to their situation, because a nice size of money could be different for different people. I'm always saying, hey, let's look at how we can take this lump sum of money and we can get it to make steady interest income, and you pay the debt with the interest income. This way you are never down to zero, because what most people do was take their lump sums of money, however they get it. Maybe they saved it. Maybe they get a bonus on the job. Maybe they get an inheritance. However they won a court battle. I don't know. However they get these lump sums of money, but typically people take those lump sums of money, pay off debt, right? Maybe do a couple things for themselves, and they're down to zero again. And I stress to my clients all the time, we do not want to be down to zero. Okay. We do not want to be down to zero. We want to employ a strategy where we are never down to zero. Okay. And that's what earning passive income, learning return on interest, that's where that comes in, right? Because it helps you not to be down at zero. Your principal can remain and the interest continues to compound. All right. Now, so that's a pro, right? It can provide a stable income stream. It can allow you freedom of time. It can allow you financial independence. You know, when you have freedom of time, freedom of finances, you can pursue other passions in a bigger way, right? Some of us are pursuing passions, but we're like, if I just had more money, if I just had more time, right? So this can allow you to do that. Now, the cons, right? Depending upon your situation, right, and how soon you want to live off of your return on interest, it could require a substantial initial investment. Okay, thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't know, because it depends on what are you using this interest income for. What are your expenses each month? If you want it to pay your bills, if you want it to, you know, pay for vacations and your bills, you know, these things are things that we have to take into consideration, right? On the other hand, you don't have to have a large, substantial initial investment if you're saying, okay, this is something I definitely want to do. I want to live off the return on interest, but I'm okay waiting for that to become a reality, meaning I'm okay giving it 3 years or 5 years before this comes a reality. And then in that case, you can, your initial investment, your principal could be smaller. Okay. So there's different things. The other con that could be associated with living off of your return on interest also depends on the type of investments you're in, but the market fluctuates, right? There's ups and downs in the market. So depending upon what you're invested in, you got to be paying attention to that, because the market fluctuates. Okay. And we might talk a little bit more about that later. All right. So, how do you actually start? How do you start? Well, it's like anything. Okay. Got to put a plan together. If you are thinking about going to college and graduating, getting a degree, well, prayerfully, there's some kind of plan in place, right? You've thought about what course of study, you've thought about the schools, right, that you are interested in, and have done research on the schools, and then you pick a school, right? And then once you picked a school, you might be thinking about, okay, you know, what's it going to look like once I get there? What am I doing? So it's the same thing with living off of your return on interest. You must have a solid financial plan before doing this. Do you have to have this before doing it? No. You can get out there and willy-nilly invest anytime you want to. Okay. But if you want to make sure that it's going to work for you and what you're trying to accomplish, then you want to make sure that you have a solid plan in place. Okay. It's going to include what exactly do you want the interest income to cover. So we know what kind of opportunities we need to look for. What do we have on hand that we can work with? But not only that, right? Everything that you do in your finances right now needs to be considered. What are your expenses? Okay. How are you spending each month? Right? Because sometimes the way we are spending, like there can be tweaks, and we can actually find even more money that we can put towards this cause. Right? Another thing is, okay, if I have a lot of debt, I need to get out of debt. So how do I do that while at the same time producing interest income? In fact, I'm always sharing with my clients, again, I said this already, that if we can develop interest income that helps you to pay off debt, all the more better. And then, of course, you know, keep it moving, right? So all of these things have to be discussed. Your emergency fund, all of these basics must be in place. Now, if you've been following my posts over the last several months, we have been doing a progression. But I started out with those basics, right? Having your life insurance, having your emergency fund, having your retirement account, having your opportunity fund. making sure that you are allocating. What does allocating have to do with anything, right? Allocating is part of my daily operations. What does that have to do with me investing? It has everything to do with you investing, because allocating, part of one of the allocations is that account that you're saying, this is the amount of money every month that I have dedicated to investing. Okay. And my emergency fund. Okay. So it's important. All of these things work together. So you have to have a solid, holistic financial plan. Hey, Sister Bernadette, good to see you. Watching all the way from Botswana. Good to see you today. So you have to have a solid financial plan. Okay. Like I said, you can get out there and do things willy-nilly if you want to, but you're going to run into some, you're going to learn some things. If we put it that way, right? As they would say in my day, you're going to learn today, right? So if you can do this, minimize mistakes. When you minimize your mistakes, then you can collapse time frames, I like to say, then why not, right? All right. So the other thing that you need to consider when you're talking about living off your return on interest is your risk tolerance. Okay. So different types of investments that have it where you can make current income off of come with different levels of risk. Okay. There are some that are, moderately risky. There are some that are really risky, some a little lower risk, but you have to determine, what is my risk tolerance? And I'm going to share with you this. If you are risk averse, okay, meaning you don't really have much time, you don't want to, I don't know if I want to let my money go. That's really too risky. I want something a little bit safe. If that's you, okay, no issue, but you need to understand that it could take you a longer time to get where you want to go. Okay. You're going to find that you are going to be invested in things that are going to yield you a much lower return. For example, just a high yield savings account where the return is 3 to 4%, and that's at a good bank, okay, yearly. Other banks, they're lower than that. And if it's a regular savings account, it's a 0.01, okay? Just looked up some bank savings today. I'm not going to name the banks, but I just looked at some bank savings accounts today as I was talking with a client, and we were looking at 0.01, 0.01, 0.0. It's ridiculous. Okay. So, but if you want to play it safe, it's going to take you a long, 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 long time. Now, I don't know about you. I know the people that typically listen to me are, right about my age range. Okay. Meaning you in your mid 30s to mid 40s, and then, maybe a little bit older. And so you really don't have that kind of time, right? So that's something else that you have to take into consideration. And if you don't have a lot of time on your hands, doing the investments that have the lower yields may not be the greatest idea. But if you are that risk averse, then that's your route to go, right? So we're going to talk about, if you're more comfortable with risk, then you might want to consider stocks that pay dividends. You might want to consider bonds. And if you're really like, let's just go for it, and that's where I am. Like, I'm really tolerant of risk. Like, I could be like, it's high risk, and I'll be like, okay, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't always that way. I had to get educated about this, right? And educated about the market. But I'm like, if you're like, okay, yeah, I understand, risk. I understand how that works. I understand. Again, you're not getting out there making willy-nilly decisions. It's calculated risk, okay? But if you want those returns that are like 12%, 15%, and not only just yearly, but we're talking about monthly, right? Then you gotta be tolerant of risk. So you've got to understand what your risk tolerance is. Okay. The next thing is that you got to diversify your investments, because we talked about this earlier as one of the cons. The market fluctuates. Okay. So how do you diversify? Well, you diversify by the different asset classes: stocks, okay, that pay dividends, bonds, real estate, and even within real estate, there's different ways to make the passive income, the interest income. Tax liens are one way, right, to do that. Um, then you've got things like crypto, art, all of these other things, right? You got oil mining, you got agriculture, you got all kinds of things that you can invest in that will yield you a daily return, a weekly return, or a monthly return, right? And the quicker that you want to live off of your return on interest, those are the types of things, the ones that are yielding the daily, weekly, monthly returns. Those are the ones that you want to be looking for. And according to the industry, yes, they are a little bit more risky, but that's that, right? You can vet the individual investments. Yes, it's risky, but you you do your due diligence, right? How has this performed over time? The company that's doing it, are they stable? All of these things, right? And these are things that I teach my clients that I work with on a daily basis, right? How do we find the best, opportunities out there, knowing that there's risk in any and everything, right? Even that savings account is at risk. Even the CD is at risk. Okay. It's lower risk, but it's at risk. The bank is shut down. You know what I'm saying? Right. And if you got more than $120,000 in that savings account, the insurance, and if they choose to cover it, right, only covers about that amount. Anything outside of that, gone, right? So so we have to diversify. So we have to look at different asset classes, okay? Because there may be a time where maybe the stocks aren't doing so well, okay? But I can trade crypto and it's doing well right now. Or trading in and of itself is a good opportunity, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, because you can make a profit whether the market is up or whether the market is down. So personally, that's why I like trading. Okay. So whether it's trading crypto, whether it's trading what am I going to say? Whether it's trading crypto, whether it's trading Forex, whether it's trading whatever that is, then that may be the case, right? So the FDIC insurance limits, you're right, Peter. It's 250,000. I was wrong. I think I said 120,000 or something like that. You're right. It's 250,000. Okay. So if you've got more money in one bank over that 250,000, they are only saying, hey, if we provide this insurance, then it's up to 250,000. Okay. So you really never want to have more than 250,000 laying around in one bank, because it won't be covered. And you also want to make sure that your bank is FDIC insured. Not every bank is FDIC insured. And you also want to be aware. Okay. And I did a whole podcast on the FDIC insurance, or at least I spent quite a bit of time on it. They can take however long they want to return the funds to you. Okay. Now, in the past, generally speaking, they've given people their funds quickly. But if you read in their rules or guidelines or whatever you want to call it, there is no time frame in which they have to make sure that you get those funds. That's just FYI. I'm not trying to scare anybody, just letting you know that's what's out there, right? Okay, so thank you, Peter, for that correction, because I don't know where 120,000 came from, but it is 250. All right, so diversify your investments. Okay, if you want to live off of your interest, you have got to diversify because the markets fluctuate. Okay, and let's just say, even with, let's just say you love real estate tax liens, which I do, right? Those tax liens typically are They last about a year. They could last at most 2 years, depending upon the state. So you constantly have things coming on and off your portfolio. Okay. So you've got to be mindful of that when you're living off of your return on interest. All right. Okay. Now, how can we maximize your interest income? Okay. If you don't need to, if you don't need to live off of your interest right away, like some people are like, yeah, I can wait 3 years or 5 years, right? Instead of withdrawing the interest earnings, okay, paying your bills with it and all that stuff, what you can do is reinvest the interest. Okay. So you've put your principal in, it earns interest. Maybe let's say it earned 4% this month. They're on the platform, whatever investment that you invested in, is saying, hey, here's your 4%. You can choose to withdraw that 4% or you can choose to reinvest it. And if you reinvest it, okay, that interest that you reinvest now becomes new principal, right? And so your compound, what's being compounded now is more than the original principal that you put in there. And over time, that will explode your portfolio. Okay. So you can reinvest your earnings if you don't need them right away. Okay. And then the other thing, as I already mentioned, you just want to monitor your investments, make sure that, you know, things are going well. You may have to change up some things. Like I said, some tax liens may fall off. And so you're going to anticipate, oh, I got 6 of these tax liens that are getting ready to fall off in December of 2023. All right, I need to either get some more or I need to look for another investment in another asset class to kind of make up for that interest that will fall off. So you've got to be mindful of those things, right? And always, 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 always stay informed. Stay up to date on the latest financial news, on the latest market trends. And I'm going to tell you, the mainstream news is not where you want to get your information from. Oh, I'm so glad you're enjoying this, Peter. Thank you so much. The mainstream news is not where you want to get your news about the markets from. Not at all. Okay. Because all they tend to do, as they do anything else, is point out the negatives, right? If you watch the news, I'm gonna tell y'all, I haven't watched the news probably since 2010. Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't watch it, right? And so if I don't happen to see it, see it in terms of, maybe on social media, there's an article that comes across or something like that. Like, I don't even know. Like, I didn't even know about the whole submarine thing till my friends. I have a group chat with a group of friends, and they were showing these memes that people were making. They were funny, but they're not funny, right? Anyway, they were showing these memes that people were making, and I was like, what is going on? This whole submarine thing. So then I went and read an article on it, right? Because I just don't watch the news. It's just, not only is it negative, right? But it is very, it has the ability to program you. That's why they call these things television programs. But I'm not going there today, y'all. I'm not going there today. Today we're talking about return on interest, and I'm saying stay informed. And I'm saying that the mainstream news media is not where you want to get your information on investing. Okay, you want to get your news on investing. Look, Yahoo Finance is a great place to go. Just outlets that are specific to that, right? That's where you want to go. There are great podcasts out there that one can listen to that will keep you informed, like this one, on investing, right? So that's what you want to do. All right. So those are some tips, right, on just how to maximize any interest-based income that you would have. All right. And I just want to repeat before I end this. There are a multiplicity of ways in which you can get interest income, okay, and live off that income. They can be stocks, that pay dividends. They can be bonds. It could be CDs. Um, it could be trading. It could be real estate. Okay. Via tax liens or some other kind of, way in terms of interest income. I like tax and stuff. But anyway, this ain't about me. Right. So there's a variety of different ways. There is agriculture. There's oil mining. There's all kinds of ways, all kinds of companies out there that are doing these things. Where you can earn interest income. Okay. And as usual, I always like to say, hey, what I've said here today is for educational purposes only. I do not know your personal financial situation. Okay. So don't go out there saying, yeah, next time we just start trading crypto. You know what I'm saying? And then you lose, you be like, but I didn't tell you anything, right? I'm just educating you on what's out there. But if you would like to discuss your personal situation, you can always do that by scheduling some time with me, a 30-minute complimentary consultation. Okay. And I think it should be in the comments. It should be pinned in the comments if you want to do that. If you've never had one, okay, because you only get one. If you've never had one 30-minute complimentary consultation with me, you can do that. And we can chat, and it's just 30 minutes, right? So we can chat a little bit about your personal situation and maybe some things that I might recommend. But my clients really get the best of it, right? Because what I actually do for them is to help them put a strategy in place. We look at the finances holistically, and then we put the strategy in place, as I was talking about earlier, because there's nothing that you should be doing financially that is in isolation of other financial decisions. And everything that you're doing financially should be working towards your ultimate goal of financial freedom, whatever that is specifically for you. Okay. All right. So if there are any questions or anything like that, I haven't seen any along the way. Just, put them in the chat. Even if I'm not on here anymore, I do come back and look at the comments. And so, or if you're watching the replay, please feel free to ask your questions. Don't think that because you weren't on here live that you don't get to ask questions. Put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer those questions. So I hope today's discussion on living off of your return on interest has been a good one, that you've learned some things, right? And more importantly, I hope that you take this information and that you do something with it. Don't just listen to it, be like, wow, that's great. I wish I could do that, blah, 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 and do nothing with it, right? I've given you an option of getting on my calendar. If you've already been on my calendar, then we've already discussed, what we can do. And so take action, right? But if it's not with me, I ain't sad. You know what I'm saying? Find somebody, right? Find somebody that can help you in this way. All right. So that's that. What's coming up? Listen, we've got a team of missionaries that are getting ready to leave for Ghana next week. The Women Unveiled team is heading to Ghana next week. And they are, it's going to be amazing. They go and serve and help women and youth and all kinds of things. And we want to thank you for all of you that have donated to help them reach their goals. They will still take your donations, right? So you can look up the Women Unveiled team, or you can go to the team lead is Erica Etienne. So if you find her page, you can find information, put in Ghana in the search. All those posts will come up, and there should be a link there that you can, contribute to, or inbox her. She'll tell you exactly what you need to do. We've got a team that is going to Kenya in about 60 days from now. So that team is very excited. I will be leading that team. We are still collecting, taking donations, because we're going to be doing a lot of things while we're there. One of our goals is to provide 500 people with a pair of Crocs and a pair of socks. For young girls in a school that we're visiting, we want to provide every young lady with sanitary napkins and underwear. And for a boys' school that we're visiting, every boy is getting school supplies. That's what we want to do. So your donations are needed. We've got a couple of other projects that we are supporting in Mombasa. Our physical effort is going to be focused in Kitale, Kenya, but we are also supporting a couple of efforts in Mombasa. So we are supporting the Gospel Praise Church and the construction of their the infrastructure of bringing fresh water to that village. And we are also supporting the Kanango Mission Station, helping them to get the iron sheets for their roof. So there's plenty where you can be a part of. And I think I'm gonna have to, I should have the link somewhere here. Let me see. I know I do. I believe this is it. Okay. Believe that's it. If not, I'll come back in the comments and put it, but you're going to start seeing me post about, making donations and all that stuff. So we got a team leaving in Kenya, and that's what's going on right now, folks. We are really, my company, this is the philanthropic arm. Every year we do short-term international mission trips. If you would like to join us on a mission trip next year, we will be going to, well, I'm not going to announce that just yet. I'm going to hold on to that. Okay. I'm going to hold on to that. But we've got trips going next year. If you're interested in getting that information, let me know so that I can keep you informed as we begin to announce things. All right. I think I saw one comment. Any suggestions of companies for daily, weekly, monthly interest income? Yes. If you schedule a 30-minute complimentary session with me, I would definitely provide some recommendations of companies. I don't have a super long list because I like to look for really, good investments that I have vetted, that even that I use myself. So yes, if you have, and I think you've scheduled with me, so we're going to be talking about that. I think we meet next week. And so we're definitely going to be, talking about that. All right. Okay. That's all that I have, y'all. So we will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Share this with somebody. Okay. If there's somebody out there that is trying to get it all together financially, has an interest in investing, wants to make interest income, live off interest income, share it, right? Don't keep this a secret. Share this with them so that they can get the information and do with it what they will, right? You all are very welcome. And we'll see you next week, okay, with episode 44. There we go. 44. All right, y'all. Have a great one. See you next time. Peace.